ago, and we were talking about a show and all this stuff. And like I said,
Yeah.
you're just one amazing person. You have the wherewithal to just keep on going and doing like, oh, what do I do next? And other people are like, geez, I don't know what to do, and you're already planning on doing something. I feel like you're the man of like
I
the
know.
woman of like 1,000 different things.
Well, I was there. It took me years. I mean, I remember myself kind of like, disorganized and cluttered. Like, where do I want to go with this work? Do I want to be a starving artist and like, live in like a house with like 5 people and barely get by and be on food stamps? Like, is that the life I want to live? And I actually was talking to someone else about this on air when I did a podcast for Mental Health News Radio, and I was, speaking to the woman who was interviewing me, and I said, we were talking about the arts and then what it takes to really survive as an artist in this society. And I said, I really believe that if you want to be a success, you have to see the business in the art, and you have to use it in different ways. You have to use all your tools and find a way, if you can, if that's your choice, to make it work for you. And I said to her, I always had a job, and this morphed into, like, through teaching drama and through always acting, this morphed into something more that I can give back and use for social impact. But yeah, that there's just so many people that are like, what the hell do I do with my life? This is my passion. This is my goal. They don't know how to interweave it. And that's okay. Like, it takes a lot of skill to do that. You really have to have something to show for it. Like, listen, being an artist is like, it could be a real bitch because you really don't know what things are going, like where things are going, and you're on one audition to the next. I feel like you can use it in different ways. I guess that's what I really want to share with people, that you can use your art in different ways and continue doing it. You don't have to accept this label that society says you are, this poor, underestimated, kind of grasping at straws type of artist that's trying to get by. You have to fit the role. You have to play the role that you want to be.
Yeah, and I think you do that well. I mean, again, you're no, really, because when I go on social networks and I look at your Facebook page and I see something, and I know you've said the same thing to me. You said, "Wow, that was inspiring. Thanks for that." And I feel the same way. I feel the same way. You're always positive. Even when things are negative, you're positive, and I try to stay that way too.
Right. No, it's definitely helpful. Like, even just saying, I remember I said something on your post, like, I needed this.
Yes.
And
I really appreciate that too.
Inside, yeah.
Because if I can't be positive for myself, if I can be positive for other people, that helps me stay positive for myself. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, you resonate what you believe. Like, even if you don't believe it at that moment, you have to think of energy. See, I think of everything as energy now.
Yes.
And I've been thinking this way for many years. Like, everything that happens to me is the energy that I put out. So if, I'm not getting the results that I want, I got to redirect the energy, and I got to think for a minute, like, all right, stop trying to be funny with this, and, like, you have to really kind of focus on the outcome. Sometimes you can visualize it go. That's, like, really hard to just let things go and let things be and not care and not form an opinion. That's, like, my biggest, I would say, like, one of my bigger flaws is that, like, I try to get things done and form an opinion or a judgment quickly, like, that's not going to happen. They're not going to write me back. Or
yeah, but see, that's the old thought patterns coming back into you. That's what happens to me all the time, because I've learned them for so long that the last couple of years I've starting to come out of it, but I still have them old thought patterns, and they're still there, and they're still there telling the new thought patterns what to do. Unfortunately, it's a war between the two.
It's also neurological, so it's like,
yes,
you have to train your brain, and this is also part of the work that I do too. Like, So some of what I do, we know that the arts create new neural pathways, but we also know that we can relearn behaviors and we can retrain them, and that also has to do with how we literally allow the brain to create new neurons and new pathways so we can develop new skills and retain the information to learn the behaviors. Because when people have destructive and unhealthy behaviors, they're patterns that are learned, whether it's biological or environmental. And the way we do the psychotherapy, at least through what I do using the arts, it's not traditional treatment using meds. It's using arts to allow these clients to retrain their brain, literally to open up the pathways through the unlimitedness of art, and what that can do, that space to be creative,
right,
and change behaviors. That's really where I see art as being really powerful. So it's all well and good, oh, I'm an actor and I do this and I do that. Of course, we love to say those things and it's fun and we attract people, and people write us on Facebook, oh, I see you're an actor, you're really beautiful, you're a model, wow. That's all well and good, but what's the point of what we do? For me, that's the goal, that's my point. That's my reason for it.
That's a good point. I also love the fact that you make some great quotes that I see sometimes on your pages and what you do, and I see other people react to them, and I really love that too. I love how people interact with you too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to just be very free with yourself and share what you believe, and then see how people respond to it. I found that when I say things that are what other people might say, or they're not completely authentic to me, I don't get as many likes. It's really when I put my heart out there and allow the unlimited space for what I believe to take over, that the true art comes out and that people love that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I sometimes catch myself before I say something to my wife, and I'll say, "Oh, Lindsay said." She's like, "Who's Lindsay?" I'm sorry, just a friend of mine on Facebook. She said, and she knows who you are. She's like, "Oh, that girl." I said, "Yeah, that girl. She's a sweetheart, and she's got a lot of great quotes, and she's, she thinks very, very outside the box, which is what I like." And he's like, "I understand. So, I just I don't want you to be coming up in conversation all the time unless it's something good."
No, there's no line crossing. Just make that very clear to her. This is someone, who, I think that's another point too, not to say any more on it, but just in terms of what people believe about inspiring people. I think that even when people write me and they say, oh, I love what you're doing and let's talk, we have a lot in common, it happens daily to me, and it's I make it very clear now. Oh, I'm not playing around now. I say I am not on here to date, okay, buddy? You can like what I do, but it takes training to be able to do that. Just to have the guts to be open and transparent with people and say I'm not interested in you. You can like my shit all you want, but I'm not interested in dating you. You have to just be clear, and you have to.
I know.
And so that takes time too, with people out there that are trying to come up and be a speaker or whatever you do, be an actor. If you want to write, whatever you're offering, you have to know when to draw the line and say this is that part of my life, and I'm meeting people elsewhere where it's appropriate. And it takes time. It's you would think you would know that, but actually this type of world in the entertainment business, it's different, and it's challenging at times to control them. I had an agent for a while, but I actually find it better to control myself.
That's got to be really hard for you, because I'm sure that you see and meet a lot of great, funny, and talented people all the time.
Yeah, no, I do. Actually, I'm going to be in a film very soon. We're finishing it up. We're actually working together on it. I'm helping to edit and write the film, and I'm also one of the actors.
Oh, nice.
And this friend of mine, he's making it, and he knows well, he works with SNL. Like, he knows some big people. So, I mean, he found me. He scouted me on the book. Yep, he scouted me on the book, and he, and I talked after one of the auditions he sent me on, and then we got connected. And, like, that's really how I want to do it, like, the whole agent thing. I mean, you can go that route, but I don't really think it necessarily helps you. Like, look at some of these actors. I mean, I know they're, like, one in a million, but, like, Saoirse Ronan and, like, Jennifer Lawrence, like, some of these ladies, like, they have had no training. They were scouted by doing an independent film, and then they continue to get parts because that film just, like, blew people away, like, whoever was looking at it. So that's, like, I would say, not to say I need to be on that level because that's not what I want to do, but I feel like for me personally, that's the way I would go about it, because I prefer that rather than going the traditional, like, here's an agent, you submit, you get gigs. I don't really have time for that either with my business.
Right.
So I like this approach to the work. Like, you get gigs. I mean, I could probably get a lot more gigs, but I like comedy. I'm exploring comedy now. I've done a few comedy shows in the past, and that was good. And just branching out and just having fun with it, not trying to get noticed and get all these gigs. And, it's just not how it really works. I think people should be aware of that. Even with my clients who I teach, like, acting, like, I just teach acting to. Some I do therapy with, some I just teach acting, like, depends on the service that they want, and they just want to, like, learn how to act. I'll do that. And I'm very clear with them. I'm like, listen, like, this is not something that happens overnight. You need skill. It takes a lot of stamina to be an actor, to be a working actor, and to know how to, like, communicate with everybody and all the players, the casting people, like, what do you say, when you say. So, yeah, there's a lot in this that people just don't seem to know about, which is fine. I mean, we can even inform and stuff, so.
So you have a lot of skill, not only in talent in what you do, but everything. like I said, you're just an amazing person. That's all. That's all I can say.
I should just put something on me that says I'm amazing. Wear one of those shirts, amazing person. Right here.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, the things that you come out with and say is just like I said. I'm just amazed sometimes. And when I do read your posts and stuff, some are tear jerkers and some are just keep on moving, keep on doing, and that's great.
Yeah, well, there's this email chain that I get. It's called The Universe, and it's so cool. Like, it just tells me some amazing words of wisdom, but in a playful way. This one, I just got a note from the universe. It says, those who achieve great things defeat long odds and become legends, Lindsay. Didn't have anything you don't have. They just kept showing up, expecting a miracle long after everyone else got practical. Here comes one right now, the universe. And so I, like, read those things and I get inspired. I have two opinions on that. I think a lot of this comes from my own mind. Mm-hmm. You can create your own mind. Also, you can be inspired, because that's another conversation. Like, how do you create? How do you really create? How do you become funny? How do you become artistic? Like, I think you can do it. Like, I've done some great projects in, like, 2 hours, and I've done, like, some projects where I, like, need to be inspired, read something, kind of mull it over, and then work on it for a while. So it's just an interesting point. Like, how do you write these things? How do you know how to do this? I think it's learned, but I also think it's innate when you feel it. Like, when you have a strong feeling, you can perform that better, you can write about that better because it's right with you. Mm-hmm. And then when it's gone, it's gone, and you have to just move on and find something else. to get inspired by. But yeah, I use that for my writing. And sometimes I just come up with something. Like I thought about it.
Did I lose you, Lindsay?
What? Am I having an illusion?
No.
No, I'm not.
No, it sounded like I lost you. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to lose you.
Oh, okay. No, you didn't lose me. I'm right here.
Okay. No, but that's amazing the way you put it, because listen, a lot of people don't know about you.
No, they don't. They probably should, right? I'm thinking they should know more about me.
And you achieved a lot in your status. When people say they can't do it, what do you tell them?
Yeah. What do I tell them when they say they can't do it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think first of all, a lot of like what I've been training has really helped me to like respond to a comment like that, because it's more than just you can't speak, but like the like.
Oh, you're breaking up like every other word, Linz. You're breaking up every other word. Are you moving anywhere?
No. Is that okay now?
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit. See if that's better where you're at.
I'm on one side.
You're breaking up again. Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems using Skype or any issue we have. It's always an issue because...
Wait, is this better?
That's a little better. I don't know what you did, but it's a little bit better.
I just moved in the stage. Just literally moved where I'm standing. Okay, is that all right now?
Oh, that's great. If you can stay there, that would be great for for the rest of the hour.
Stay right here. Saying to go back to what we're talking about, I said, it's I think with what I've been learning in my practice, it's a lot more effective, and in terms of how to address a comment like that, and saying like, sweetie, you'll be fine. It's hard, but like, don't worry about it. Like these reassuring, like kind of very, words that a lot of times people say like to their friends, like, don't worry, girl, you're great. You'll be fine. Like, you really have to use some technique with that and say, like, I believe, if you're really interested in why someone says they can't do it, you need to go a little further with them and say, look, I think you can't do it, or like, what's happened that gives you that idea that, think you can succeed. And from there, it becomes,
You're breaking up again. You see, once you start talking about like another sentence, you start breaking up. You were really good before. I don't know if you moved or it just keeps breaking up. It's something.
Hello?
You sound clear now. Did you move again? It could be the cell phone carrier. It could be Skype. It could be anything. The phone. But
I don't know. Sometimes on the phone just I don't mean to prevent something.
You're breaking up really bad.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Did you want to try to call in again? Maybe you can call in again.
Yeah, I can try.
Call in again and see if that maybe straightens it out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. All right, people, we're waiting for Lindsay Sherwin to call back. So we'll see what happens when she calls. All right, once again, we have Lindsay Sherwin. I'm back on the phone. Lindsay, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think. Are you talking close to? Are you close to the phone and moving away? What are you doing?
No, I'm speaker and I'm on the phone now. Is that better?
Are you on speaker?
No, I'm not. Not speaker.
You're not on speaker?
No, I'm off speaker now.
Well, let's try this again. I'm sorry about this.
Okay.
I just want everybody to hear every word you say. It's so crucial.
Right. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm off loudspeaker and I'm still talking. Should I continue?
Give it a shot.
Okay.
You can talk anytime. Lindsay's going to call again. All right, Lindsay, I have you again. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh, it just hung up. Okay. I just think from what you asked me about that
You sound
comment.
great, by the way. You sound wonderful, so this should be okay. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, let me get through this. Okay, well, we still can hear me. I think what you said was really interesting and was a good point about what you do when, you know, somebody asks you, like, I can't do it, or they say, you know, I can't do it, or what can I do? Instead of, you know, like I said, I'm not sure if you caught this before, if you were able to hear this, but I think, you know, a lot of what people say, because they don't have the technique or they don't have the skill, and even coaches might say this, it's like, don't worry about it, you'll be okay, sweetie, like, give me kind of this sassy, like, loving, you know, like, oh, you'll be fine, don't worry, man, you know, something like that, which is what we often say to our friends. But, like, I think what people are missing, and this has a lot to do with skill, but we want to understand why someone would say that. And that's where, like, the kind of my training comes in and, like, the psychology aspect and why it's so important when we're talking to people, whether we're coaching them or we're, you know, we're training them or we're treating them, however we're working with them. Because some people might not want treatment. They just might want support and they just might want to be, you know, heard. We need to know how we're addressing what they're saying. So I would never say that. I would say something like, you know, what makes you think you can't do it? Or what's something you think you can do that you should be doing that you're not doing now? Mm-hmm. Like, these are kind of questions, you know, you can also hear what they say and say, well, it sounds like, you know, you're really frustrated by the fact that you can't do that. How about we think of other ways to do that differently? You know, this is kind of like where the work comes in with dealing with individuals that might not feel confident in what their abilities are.
Correct.
So I learned how to do that a lot from people doing it to me, from the work that I do, the training. Being an actor has probably helped, although being an actor doesn't give you those skills. It kind of helps you listen to people really well. But it's enabled me to be more spontaneous in what I say, but the real skill is in the psychology behind how you respond to people that are dealing with a self-esteem issue, you know, and most people have that, but a lot of people don't know how to address that, so they have, like, issues in their relationships and other problems, and it just kind of manifests. So when you learn these skills, it's better, you know, you're better equipped to handle those types of situations, and you feel stronger about responding to them because you have something tangible to say.
Well, I think it's important that you, you know how to deal with things. I mean, not everybody knows everything. Don't get me wrong. Okay, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that once you learn that little bit of substance, the thing that gets you going, and you know this is what worked for you, you spread that to others.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really a lot of it too. It doesn't have to be, you know, formal training or being, you know, some people call themselves a coach. Some people like to say that they're professionally trained as a counselor. You know, I think it does have to do. I think some of the best professionals that know how to do that stuff are those who have experienced a lot of different situations in their life and different circumstances with people, and they take from themselves and they use what they know, and, you know, they don't rely on just skill, because we know to be good at something is more than just skill. It's your ability to tap into who you are.
Correct.
That's what makes you really talented or really good at what you do. So that's what I use, at least. And it's also, you know, feeling powerful, like feeling like you have authority over what you're doing. Like, that's how I work.
Well, I think that's important that you've got, you know what you're talking about there. You know, and
Yeah.
again, you were just learning as you go along. You're still pretty young, I think, compared to a lot of people that don't know half the stuff you know.
Yeah.
How does that
Well,
make you feel? How does it make you feel?
just,
Enlightened to the universe of everything that you know, and there's people that are older than you don't even know half the stuff you know.
no, you're just not, relevant. It's not, I feel like it's just about, I don't know how age definitely plays a factor. I know that, like, age is really irrelevant to talent and what people know, because we know there's so many young people out there that are really good at what they do. They've been able to start very successful businesses with a lot of profit, generating a lot of profit. They've been able to get on Broadway or, like, achieve amazing things in the arts and entertainment, and so it's really about finding that part of you and exposing that to the world, and really sharing that, so, and being open to that, and having something that people want. So, that's also why I'm writing this book on my model, and I really want to show people, like, that side of what I do as well, so they can kind of read it. And I might write something separately that has to do with motivation and other things like that, but right now I'm just kind of writing a chapter that I'm collaborating with somebody on the work that I do now with the art and healing. So that should be really interesting. But, like, this conversation is also kind of inspiring me to write something that other people might want to read about, what it takes to manifest your dreams, and, like, kind of what we're talking about now about, really showing people what you have and how you do that. And how that works, and how that can help you and take you to the next level.
Wow. Now, I want to ask you a question too. Not personal,
Yeah.
but when you go to sleep at night,
Yeah.
do you have a lot of dreams, or do you go to sleep late and have, like, little dreams? Because I've heard both from both people, and I know I'm the kind of person that goes to sleep late. I'm the kind of person that's always dreaming about everything in the world, for it to get better, by the way, and my life to get better. So I don't. Where are you at with all that?
That's a really good question. I really don't remember my dreams. I just knock out a lot of the time. I need my sleep, so I definitely, like, sometimes I feel like I should be doing a lot more work than I do. I think all people that are, like, into what they do feel that way, probably, just like you're not doing enough. But, like, in terms of my sleeping and dreaming habits, I don't really, I dream and I remember them, but I only remember them when I'm going through something. Like, usually I just kind of feel at peace and feel better when I'm sleeping and not, like, thinking about my dreams, or, like, wondering whether if I can get up or go back. I just like that I don't really remember them. And there were moments where I've written down things that I've thought about, but when I'm sleeping, I'm out.
That's interesting, because like I said, a lot of people are opposite like that. They'll just either have short dreams and go to sleep late, or go to sleep early and they're knocked out. They don't really know nothing. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what gives you the I guess the knowledge to keep moving on? I mean, most people, like I said, at your age, they pretty much give up. If they don't get what they want, they just give up.
Yeah.
You're looking for an outcome, right? And then if you don't get that outcome, you just keep trying until you get it, right?
Right. I get very, I guess, and this is not, like, necessarily completely positive. I think people have commented many times that I've spoken to and that I've presented in front of, and that I've talked to or associated with, or even strangers that I don't know that I tell about my work to. They say, wow, like, you're so passionate. They see, like, the passion in you. Like, I really see it. you light up. Like, even people at my job, like, that I'm not really, like, fond of, like, they're okay, but, you know, I'm not too hot on my boss. I don't like her very much. And,
Hey, at least
you
you're being
know,
honest. I love the honesty with you.
yeah, and she's really, you know, she's like this lady from Staten Island. No offense to anyone listening from Staten Island, but she's like very like old school, traditional Staten Island, like kind of, yeah, you know, we want things done a certain way, Lindsay, you know, and that's what you're expected. Do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to me, your supervisor. Don't forget that. And then I think to myself, okay, lady, well, my name's on the building. You'll answer to me, right? Oh, wait, no, because you'll be out of that job by then. You know, so it's kind of like you have 2 more years left. You want to retire at like 62 or whatever. I try not to I try not to focus on that. But I do to answer your question, Jean, like my real like continuation is not only like knowing obviously inwardly that I know what I do and I know I do what I do well, but like not putting up with people like that slow you down, because I'm tired of them. And even like government people or people that are like paper pushers that like can give me the access.
Yes.
Like I just do not accept no unless they tell me like no. But like I find, and I've had people tell me no. I have a mentor of mine who started a business and she wrote a workbook. Again, she uses healing. She doesn't use the art, but we're looking to collaborate in some way. And she said to me, you know, if you're not failing, then you're not doing something right. Like if you're not, like if these people are not telling you no, then that's not normal. Like not everyone's going to tell you yes. That's how it goes for a lot of successful people. Like they've gone through a lot of no's to get to where they are. But you know, it's like I've gotten no's, and I've had the, you know, shitty jobs that pay me nothing, like teaching drama in the Bronx for like $20 an hour, you know, and like I have a master's. Like it doesn't matter, but that's just an example of like what it takes. Like now I'm going for another credential and I'm training in this particular work using drama therapy, and you know, people see the value in that. You have to show people the value. Like you have to do a session. Like I did a demo session for this one school and they like really liked it, you know. So it's like my goal is to get into that school and get to another school and hopefully be in many schools, you know, and doing this work. But it's just you have to be firm. Like this is what I do, and like I see a need, and you have to be smart. Like you just do. Like you can't kind of, and like you might think, oh, how'd someone else get there? They're really nothing special. They may have gotten into connections, but those connections are gonna like, you know, kind of go away and kind of dissipate, and then you're gonna be left standing there. And like, are you able to like explain yourself then? Are you able to say, I don't need those people. Like now I'm here and I can talk to you about it. So it's really like a question of, can you stand on your own, and like no matter if this person leaves and that person leaves, like that's fine. I know what I do. Like it's challenging, and you know, but I'm not gonna give up. Like
See,
you have to keep at it.
Yeah, because you're looking at the outcome as a better outcome for yourself, and it's hard. People
Right.
don't like to deal with that. They just want instant results right away.
Most people do, yeah. And I was like that, and I want that sometimes in my personal life. Like I'm like, okay, like I know I'm awesome. Why is this person not like responding to me about, you know, what we're doing tonight or whenever we're planning on meeting or whatever the case may be? And it's like, yeah, you know, it's like you don't understand people. You never will, as much as you try to like get the psychology of marketing and like doing what you need to do to like get people on board with your business or selling your product. Or your show, you know, it's like, it's really a matter of like, you know, it's challenging to see where people are, and people just will come to you when they feel ready. They are not like that, probably 9 times out of 10. They don't maybe know this stuff, or, I mean, you don't want to look at them like they're idiots, but you don't want to give them too much credit. I used to give people a lot more credit than they proved to me.
Me too.
And that's not a smart move, because they don't really, if they're not showing it, then that's who they are. So face it and move forward. And I've had to kind of admit that, and I find people that can relate to that, and then I talk to them, and then they, we have a good conversation, and so it's like that's also something interesting that's happened to me too, like just like kind of moving forward and like seeing the truth, and that'll help people show up as well.
All right, that's good. Can you give us a little bit of your background, like when you started out before, like when you were a child? How were you as a child? Were you very intuitive, very, very intelligent, very, very a go-getter then, or did you have to grow into that? How did that
No,
change you, or did it change
that's a good question. Yeah, and you realize I probably said no before you finished your sentence.
you? I
Because
love you.
it's
That's
such
because
an
you're
out,
amazing.
like,
You're an amazing person.
yeah, I can't even say that without laughing, because it's like, no, no, and no. I am so different than what people knew me to be. I mean, I often have spoken about this either on air with people talking about acting with me, and like, the different, because I do conversations about acting. I was on another radio show talking about acting, and they're really fun because, it doesn't have to be this whole intellectual conversation. It can really be about like how it's changed you, and that's what I talk about often. I mean, I love like the inner workings of the craft, but I also like to talk about how it's really changed my whole life. And I forced myself, basically. Like, a lot of how I've changed is really through the channel of acting, because I like pretty much forced myself or pushed myself to act. And I did it, and I don't know why I did it. That's also the crazy thing about it. I don't know why I pushed myself there. I felt this compulsion to not even be seen or noticed. Actually, I hated people, and I was like misanthropic. One of my English teachers in high school, she said, you're going misanthropic, and it means, for those of you who don't really know what it means, and it's not a very common word, but it's like, not interested in people, like doesn't like people.
Mm-hmm.
Not even interested, like doesn't like them. And so I kind of had that attitude, like, and as we know, performers and actors, they're so personal and social, but I was on that other end of the spectrum. Well, you learn to be more of that, because nobody's going to work with you in the real world if you're like a bitch just sitting there with your head in the sand, but yeah, like, I think that, I think it's really helped me, because I pushed myself to use that as an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
It never was told, like, you should act. It was really, I think it's more like exposure, because I was always seeing shows with my family, and, I did community theater as, like, a 10-year-old and 11-year-old. I did Disney shows and things like that. So, but it was like, I auditioned for, like, the theater in high school. Like, I went to Performing Arts Academy for a few years, and then I went abroad, and I studied abroad. I studied physical theater in England, and I did other work. Like, then I came back here, and I studied, like, Meisner and Stanislavski and acting, method acting, and different kinds of work and improv. And so I just kind of found it interesting. I was always shy, always timid, never wanted to go up, never had confidence to go up. But it's like, it was an adrenaline rush, and I was good at it. Like, I just never thought I could do it in the moment, and then when I went up there, I was good at it. So it really, like, kind of allowed me to see the value of how important it is to be able to get up in front of people, and you just train yourself, like, you just train yourself, even when you teach. Like, now I love being in front of people. I love speaking. I love facilitating. It's natural. I remember when I was a teacher in the Bronx, and my supervisor told me, you could be a really good teaching artist one day. And I said, you know what, miss? I am a good teaching artist. It's because people don't notice what you do, and they might put you down because they don't like how you're doing it. But now it's like, people that are very stringent or have very high standards say, wow, like, I love what you're doing. And it all started because I kind of pushed myself and changed my personality traits. Like, I took away the ones that were not serving me.
It's interesting that you were able to find the ones that weren't. Some people can't even do
Yeah.
that.
I had people, I mean, I don't even think it's possible to just, and I've had clients where I've asked them, like when I started coaching, I would say, like, how did you get to where you are with no support? And I don't think it's really possible to just all of a sudden wake up and dig in. I mean, this is another discussion, but it's really interesting, and I would like love for people to call in about this, because this is really interesting about what they experience, like, those who have gone through trials and tribulations, and maybe those who have not, but just in general, like whatever, we're people and we always have something going on, whether it's positive or negative, and, we always are experiencing something at a time. So, that's just the human condition, but I think that just, saying to yourself, oh, I dug within myself and I made this happen and I changed it around because I prayed or I looked inside of myself. Like, that's great, and I'm not saying I haven't done that, but I do not believe it's physically possible to do that a few times and then really change your trajectory. Like, you really need support. You really need guidance.
Right.
Because, we know what happens to people that don't have that. They just, young people especially that do not have that, they might have those enlightened moments. And I've met young people like that have those enlightened moments, but then they fall off the rails because they don't have the additional support in place to help them stay there and sustain it. And I did. Like, I always had, support network, and I found people that may have not been the best for me, but I found them and I learned from them, and I moved on to find other people. So I've always had someone, whether they worked out in the long run or not, I had those inspirers or those people that saw the value in me. And you need it. You really need it. If you're going to stay on the path. Stay on the path to greatness, not just stay on the path. Don't get the wrong idea.
No, it's good, because, again, I don't understand. I mean, what people probably don't understand is how you knew, how you had the presence of mind to know that the universe was working for you. And people don't realize that the universe can work for anybody. It doesn't just work for one person. It works for anybody. As long as you know about it and can make it work, it will work. How did you find out about that universal quality?
No, this shit came to me. It's amazing. This came to me in 2013 by a mentor who I knew nothing about. I met her at this training session I went to in New York City, and she exposed me to Hicks, like Abraham Hicks, who's Esther Hicks. She wrote a book on the law of attraction, and I used to listen to Donald Walsh, Neil Donald Walsh, and Wayne Dyer. I used to listen to them because she would tell me to listen to them. And actually, it was so interesting because nothing I wanted to manifest worked for me when I was talking to her. But she introduced me to all these people. So that's what I'm talking about with the learning curve.
Right.
I was exposed to that, but then I started doing it on my own, and then I got really into it. From that point, I met all these different people on Facebook that introduced me to different beliefs, because Facebook is really a hub for learning. People really express themselves on there, and they invited me to these groups, and I would learn about it, or I would talk to people about it, and they would talk to me, and then I would respond to them, and then I would start reading about it. And then, I just got really into it, and now I'm super spiritual. I also dealt with someone for a while, obviously, I say obviously because that person was negative, dark energy, but they did expose me to some spiritual beliefs that helped me understand, the difference and the other side of spirituality, the dark side of it. So that's really interesting, too, because now I know that you can go against your manifestations when you have that. Things might sound good for you, and they might be working, because it's still you, right? It's not we can't get to this delusional place, which is where this person was, where if we pray, or if we pray to God and we go to church and we praise Lord Jesus, I'm not making fun of anybody here, but I'm just saying, let's be real. That stuff will not get you where you need to be. You need to act on it. So I always acted on my stuff, but then I would still be around that negative, dark energy, with someone who was in a cult. For example, I'm really serious. This person was in a cult. They were they were projecting light energy, like they were projecting like universal laws of attraction, like they talked about that, they knew about it. They can still know about that part of spirituality. It doesn't mean that they're not fully like, you know, good energy. Like, so things were happening to me, but now they're like skyrocketing because I removed myself from those kind of dangerous situations. You have to understand like what kind of spirituality is positive and what is not.
Right. There's also something like the weed growing up through the concrete. If the weed
Yeah.
just stops, it's never going to go through the concrete. But the concrete is just another block. You know, you can make it right through the concrete, and usually what happens is it'll pop through the concrete.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I love that scenario, but it's so true. A small little thing going through something so massive and thick and big, it just can chop away a little at a time and make it through. I mean, that's the way life, you know, is for us. But at the same time, we're so positive in believing that it can change overnight for us, and it usually will.
Yeah, you have to be consistent with your mood as well, like, which is really hard because things happen to us in life and we react to them. And, you know, I react all the time, but then, like, you can't, like, you know, that's when you're unbalanced, when you start reacting to every little thing. I used to think, you know, it's because I'm studying Meisner that I'm so, like, spontaneous, like, you know, but that's, like, we can't act in real life the way we do in the theater. We have to, like, be controlled. We have to, like, manage our emotions, you know, so that's something else that, like, I've had to deal with and learn.
I think that's very true. Yeah. So do you? So if you decide to do a show, would you be like bringing guests on? Like, who would you be bringing on, just to give an idea to the audience so they know who you're going to be bringing on? If you would.
I don't know. I can bring guests on. I mean, I kind of just like being interviewed and talking about topics. You know, this is something I did try to do.
Yeah.
I think I told you that. I was trying to do a radio show, and you know, it didn't work out because I had two guys who wanted to do the show with me, and it was just going to be like us three, me and these two guys, like talking and, you know, talking about different subjects each week. But I would like to do something. Definitely, I think that, you know, this was really good, and I think hopefully the listeners out there got something out of it and would like to have me back or like to continue listening to me. I just know from that experience that I would not probably do it like that. I would either do it myself or find people to bring on and interview them, and we could have a conversation. So that is something else, you know, we can look into. But yeah, I mean, I've always loved to do like this type of talk show and like radio stuff. Like, I've been trying to do it, so I definitely think like now is the time or I'll never do it.
Well, you know, that's the other thing I have to say to other people too. When you decide to do something, and I've seen it happen a lot of times with a lot of people, when you have a radio show and you're on a radio station, and this particular one, but if you are and you do, your life will pretty much change because people now look at you as a radio show host, and they know that you can say good things about them. You can help promote them. You could probably literally change a lot of people's lives just by what you say. And I see the good in that. There's a lot of good in there. You know, and people just have to understand that, you know, when you do that, you hold the power in your hand to pretty much control what way you want it to go. There's a lot of power being a radio show host. I think you could see that.
No, definitely, and I've been asked, like I told you, to do it,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has to work with the circumstances, and the structure has to work where, you know, it's a comfortable thing, and it's not just, you know, kind of talking about sports and, like, you know, what happened in the U.S. Weekly, you know, which it wasn't going to be like that before, but, you know, with the previous situation that I was going to do or be involved in, it was more like talking about real subjects that people go through, like, very late at night, like, so helping, or I would say helping people that are kind of grappling with depression or, like, other issues or things that they don't want to necessarily talk about they can listen in, and we would be sharing on those topics, and they could call in and kind of share with us and get some kind of closure or some support in that way. You know, and me being in the psychology field, like I'm really good with that, and I really welcome people that have those type of thoughts that they're going through, because that's really helping someone save their life. Like, it could help someone save their life if they're going through it and they just kind of sit there on their bed all night crying in their pillow, or, you know, looking for other ways to release their pain. Like, that's another audience that I think could really be, that's what I was going to attract with the previous show that I was going to do. So I think something along those lines, or, you know, inviting people is definitely something I can do. You know, and that might be a good fit.
Well, here's the best thing about that is that since I'm the owner, and if it's your show, you get to choose what you want to do. You just tell me when you want me to be there, and, you know, and when we do it. That's it. I take care of everything else, and you just sit back, relax, interview, talk to people on the phone, and just have a good time, and then become an icon.
I love for people to call in, and I'll just be the host, and I can be on Skype, and so people can see me, and then we can have callers come in and kind of just talk about, you know, I remember my mom used to listen to this lady, Dr. Laura. She was a psychologist.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah, and she would just talk to you, and she was funny about it, but she was really open, and she wasn't all, you know, she wasn't all kind of traditional talk therapy like that. She was more on the show, more open-minded and kind of warm and stuff. Actually, people, you know, if you're in that field, you know that a lot of psychologists and clinical psychologists can be very cold. And I think the whole idea of healing people is to be more open and more, you know, supportive, but also neutral to them. You can support someone and want better for them, but also be more neutral. So talk to me, tell me about what's going on, or what you're dealing with. What's your experience? But also give them strategies as well. So I definitely think that's a good fit for me, with what I do, because I think people will see a lot of value in that, instead of just talking about my next film or something, you know.
Well, that's great. I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot if you decide to do that. You know, I'm really I'm so happy. Number one, that we were able to hook up to start you on a show. And I'm really happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're at this radio station where, you know, you're going to put another name on us, and it looks good for both of us. It's a great team effort.
I love it. No, it is. And I know, Gene, we've been talking about this for so long. I think at least 6 months already with this. So, yeah, it's definitely time.
Well, the biggest problem was the time thing, and then I apologize for that, because I've got so much going on and doing other shows, and my daughter working back and forth to work. And
I know.
If you decide to do a show with us, I guarantee it'll always be somebody here, whether it's me or another person, another co-owner or engineer. Somebody will be here to do your show. And if it's not, then we would just let you know, and you could cancel it for that week or whatever. But this is really good. I think you'll be fantastic, because you've got such a great flow with words, and you're just so easy to talk to, and that's hard to find today.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that would really kind of help our viewers as well, to really that's why people call in, right? That's why audience members call in.
You're so real. That's why you're real. There's people out there that are so fake. You're so real.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've been taught to be real. I mean, even people that I've helped have taught me to be real, and I appreciate that in them. They may be a little bit aggressive with their realism, but they're truthful, and that's a value that I take, especially working with resistant clients. they are not. They're one thing they're not is like they don't put on an act. They tell you right then. They'll So that has helped me. That has really helped me become like that.
That's awesome.
Especially with kids, you can't put on a show with kids. They'll take you and they'll rip you apart, and you'll be done.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. In today's world, anyway, because today's world is so different than when I grew up. Because I'm 56, I'm 57, and the world was so different. I mean, it was, I don't know how to describe it. I really can't. With the technology, absolutely, but everything else around it is so different.
Yes, people, the way they behave, yeah.
No, I mean, their attitudes, their egos,
Yeah.
everybody's got a phone up in their face. And
I know, exactly.
I feel bad for a lot of them because I feel like they're missing out on life. They don't understand.
Yeah.
So,
agreed.
So let's, unless you have anything else to say, let's end it shortly.
Okay.
Do some of your plugs, and then I'll talk to you off air once we're done recording.
Okay, great.
So you can mention anything you have coming up. You can mention anything that you want people to get to contact you with, any of your contact info or anything like that.
Sure. So, thank you for having me, and this is great. I really enjoyed being on today, and I definitely look forward to the next opportunity moving forward to do a show. If anyone would like to contact me that's listening, you can find me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, Lindsay Anna Sherwin on Facebook. That is my fan page. Or you can contact me directly. I'll give you my email address, which is the easiest. I get back to email pretty quickly. That's Lindsay S. at UR, that's YOUARE, small hyphen, the, THE, shift, SHIFT.org, and that is the name of my company, You Are the Shift, and that is probably the best way to reach out and talk to me about anything that you'd like to listen to or that you want to know about or are interested in me talking about in future, and that's really the best way to reach me. You can also find me on Instagram if you have that, which is, my name is Lana Evolve. That's LANNA Evolve, EVOLVE on Instagram. Thank you.